If you are like me, you love the look of layered stencils and the ease of using them on your layouts and cards. Hi, I'm Katie Taylor with scrappinkaty.com, where I show you how to preserve your family's memories through the art of scrapbooking. I'm going to take this 12 by 12 stencil. This is a layered stencil, and I am just going to go ahead and add some masking tape to the edges of my 12 by 12 White Daisy cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and tape off the top portion of this cardstock as well. And then I'm going to start with some Ballerina ink on that largest daisy piece. Now, if you are unfamiliar with layered stencils, you'll ink up one of the layers, and here in this case it's Ballerina and that largest daisy, and then I'm coming back in with some rosy ink for another quadrant, and this is that tiny little daisy and filler image. Then what you'll do is you'll rotate your stencil. Of course, this is a 12 by 12. Just going to mask off that bottom portion right quick. But you'll rotate your stencil and you'll start repeating those ink colors. So I'm coming back in with that rosy ink on those little bitty tiny daisies, and then I am going to pull out that Ballerina ink again and go ahead and ink up that largest daisy. And so you can see here a little bit of the layering, but it really comes into play once I start adding the filler and the center pieces. So I'm just going to line up that largest daisy in that top right quadrant, again with the Ballerina ink. And then I'm just going to clean that off. Now I did do all 4 rotations on that stencil, but I'm just going to clean this stencil off because now I'm going to come back in with some different colors. I'm going to bring back in that 12 by 12 White Daisy piece, and now I am coming back in with what I call the filler piece. So the easiest thing to do is I lined up those daisies on the top right, and then I am going to come in with a blending brush and charcoal ink, and there are just these little dots. I call them fillers. And they are just going to fill some of that white space. And again, you'll just rotate 90 degrees each time and repeat that color process. Now before I did the big daisy and the rosy, I did that all at once, but I am doing these separately. So this one is glacier ink and this is the leaf pattern. You can see there just the leaves. And again, I just lined up one of the larger daisies and then it allowed me to ink those leaves exactly where they're meant to be. So I'm going to repeat that process again, rotating 90 degrees until I've done all 4 quadrants. So now it is time to remove that masking tape, and it didn't really do what I wanted it to do. So right here, I'm going to cut off the 2 sides, and then I'm going to cut this in 3 equal lengths. And then I am going to tear the top and the bottom portions that were masked off. So I'm going to repeat that on all 3 of these pieces. And then I am going to lay 2 of these pieces out, match them up with the pattern, and then flip them over and use some of the masking tape to make sure they stay together. On this one, I am pulling out another stencil, and I just absolutely love this look. Wait for the pop. I'm going to go ahead and mask off some things because the stencil has other images on it. I don't want anything but the title to my layout. And I'm using charcoal ink. I love charcoal ink because it's not as stark as black, but it definitely leaves a pop, and you can see that here. So this title says, "Life is measured by moments in time." So I'm going to complete this stenciling, and then I'm going to remove that stencil and get that cleaned off, again using just my glass board and some water and then my chamois. And then this stencil is actually a slimline stencil from my website. And I'm just going to be adding some of those diamonds at the top left and the bottom right using Glacier ink. Now remember, Glacier ink was the ink that I used for the leaves in that daisy pattern. So I'm just going to get that on that bottom right piece, and then that is pretty much it for this layout. Now I have laid out the 3 panels, and then I decided that I needed some more of that charcoal ink. So I'm pulling out that same stencil that had the title, and it actually has a clock face to it, but I love the circle that the clock is supposed to, that's supposed to be used for the clock. So I'm going to use the charcoal ink to make a stacked circle. You can see that come to life once I stencil, and then I'm just going to move it slightly up. And then I'm just going to have this stacked circle that's going to peek from behind my photo. Now I did end up hitting stop on my video, and I'm not sure why, but here are some close-ups. I did end up cutting some of those daisies out and using those as embellishments. And even though those panels are separated, I still think that that title just has that big pop. So there is a look at that slimline stencil as well as those daisies that are fussy cut out. And I absolutely love the look of the torn edge from those panels. Now remember that I'll leave links down below to all the products that I used, as well as links to all my social media. You can head on over there and follow me. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. You guys have a wonderful rest of your week.